Before beginning reassembly of a Ruger Mark III pistol, make sure that the magazine and receiver are completely unloaded. For reassembly, the safety must be in the off or fire position. Place the hammer in the horizontal or cocked position. The hammer is visible by looking down on the grip frame and is the rectangular object inside the grip frame and near the rear. If you cannot place the hammer in the horizontal position, it is most likely because the hammer strut is trapped behind the cross pin. If this occurs, lift the hammer to free the hammer strut from behind the cross pin, point the gun up, and then move the hammer into the horizontal position. If the hammer has been rotated too far forward, it also may not be possible to rotate it backwards. If this occurs, fully insert the empty magazine and pull the trigger. Once the hammer is horizontal, remove the empty magazine. Before placing the barrel receiver assembly onto the frame, make sure that the loaded chamber indicator pin is in its place in the receiver. Place the barrel receiver assembly on top of the frame so that the lug engages the square front recess. Push the barrel receiver assembly rearward until it stops. If the barrel receiver assembly is properly fit, the rear end of the receiver will slightly overhang the rear end of the grip frame. If proper alignment of the barrel receiver assembly and grip frame cannot be achieved by hand, place the pistol on a padded bench, muzzle down, and lightly strike the rear of the grip frame below the receiver with a plastic or wooden mallet. Fully insert the empty magazine into the Mark III. Point the muzzle up in a safe direction and pull the trigger. Gravity should cause the hammer to return to the cocked position. If not, reach into the rear of the receiver and push the hammer back down flat into the horizontal position. When the hammer is in this position, remove the empty magazine. Verify that the slide release lever is fully downward. The bolt cannot be reinserted if the lever is up. Before sliding the bolt into the receiver, be certain that the firing pin stop is in the bolt. Without this pin, the first time the trigger is pulled on an assembled pistol, the firing pin will fly forward so far as to irreparably dent the rear of the chamber of the barrel, making the pistol useless. Now slide the bolt with the recoil spring upward, fully forward into the receiver. Insert the empty magazine, point the muzzle toward the ground in a safe direction, and pull the trigger. The hammer should fall to its full forward position. If it does not, retract the bolt partially and manipulate the hammer through the slot in the rear of the frame until the hammer is in its full forward position. Remove the empty magazine. Point the muzzle towards the ground. With the pistol in this position, hold the mainspring housing stop pin assembly and press the bolt stop pin through the holes in the receiver and the bolt until the tip of the pin protrudes beyond the top of the receiver. You may need to tap the mainspring housing into position with a plastic or wooden mallet. The pin must be fully in place to close the latch. Pointing the muzzle up will ensure that the hammer strut lines up with the mainspring plunger. If the internal parts are correctly aligned, you should feel spring pressure just before the housing is fully shut. The housing latch can now be snapped shut, completing assembly. To make sure the pistol has been reassembled correctly, pull the bolt backward and confirm that it fully opens. If you are unable to open the bolt fully, you will need to remove the mainspring housing assembly, verify that the hammer is in the horizontal or full forward position, and reinstall the mainspring assembly as was just demonstrated. Replace the empty magazine, point the pistol in a safe direction, and then pull the trigger to uncock the gun. In order for the internal lock to be engaged, the pistol must remain cocked and the manual safety must be placed in the on or in the safe position. You've now successfully reassembled your Ruger Mark III rimfire pistol thanks to this Ruger Tech tip.